welcome to the Good Money Guide, Taxi Trading. Now, a bit of a change in location. We are now at the London Trader Show. Had to bring the cab up in a lift, and we're going to be chatting and trading with Dan Squires, who's head of sales at Saxo Markets UK.
Ooh. That was a very eloquent getting in the taxi. Right, all right.
It's not the easiest.
it's quite cosy back here, isn't it? All right, Dan, thanks for joining us.
Yeah, no, it's delighted to.
I'm sure you've seen how it works. It's 20 minutes. We're just going to have a chat for 20 minutes about trading, about Saxo, about what you guys do and who you do it for.
Sure.
We got the Saxo app installed, so I'm going to give you the Good Money Guide phone,
and then
we will have a tap around the Saxo app. So there you go, time has started. We've got 20 minutes to have a play about on the Saxo app. You tell us what you like about it and what you don't, and we'll put some trades on so punters can see how they work.
Yeah, sure. Saxo is a Danish headquartered bank, a global business in Denmark, a systemically important financial institution, so a proper regulated and pretty big business. We've got 1.1 million customers globally and over 100 billion of client assets, something like 13 offices around the world.
Yeah, we covered it when you passed the billion mark.
Yeah, so that's, so Saxo is quite a big business, albeit, I would say, less well known in the UK. In the UK, we're quite a lot smaller by customer numbers. But in particular, the whole thing about our app, our platform, how the business works, is that I'd like to think that we're kind of at the sophisticated end. We sort of jokingly internally call it a weapons grade platform, and hopefully I can sort of demonstrate why that is. But
robust.
Yeah,
how we've
robust.
It.
I mean, this thing, you've got to be super careful if you're trying to do this for a living, or you've got P&L at risk. Does the app do what it says on the tin? Right? Does it work properly? What gives me massive confidence about that with Saxo is that the very same platform that we're going to have a look at now is used by a variety of, small hedge funds, boutique asset managers, private wealth managers, and other white label clients. If I think about the direct business, the kind of retail individual people business that I run, our clients range from people with a few £100s in their account to 100 million. So obviously if you've got a few million up to 100 million and you're doing this at a pretty serious level, you need a broker and a partner and a technology that works. And so that's kind of our thing. And we're much less well known at the kind of high street retail sort of mass market end. But that's the Saxo story. Multi-asset, one-stop shop, kind of institutional grade quality operation.
Yeah, no, I know we covered you a lot. In fact, you were a big competitor back when I was a multi-asset broker.
Yeah.
We used to have real battles with some of our sort of mid-sized hedge funds, those 50 to 100 million size hedge funds that are jobbing about in equities with a bit of futures hedging as well. They were constantly going between us and you guys, and you at the time were one of the you had that great platform. I remember you came in there as I think you described it as a workhorse platform, real robust, and you were the only guys that had multi-asset that could do everything with a dealing desk as well. Actually,
well, that's right.
There's a few others that don't.
So that's worth mentioning. So Saxo started off in life as an FX broker and has basically become a multi-asset broker global. So there's literally nothing you can't do on our platform. So this is probably sort of stating the obvious, but equities, FX, CFDs in the UK, futures, options, commodities, and more recently we've added mutual funds. And there's a massive range of ETFs. So in total, there's something like 72,000 instruments available on our platform, which kind of sounds like a meaningless number, that 72,000. So what?
Yeah.
Right? When you find an idea that you're super keen on, when you become convinced, this is a trade I want to put on, and you can't put it on because it doesn't exist on someone else's platform, not only is that annoying, it's money you haven't made. So the point about this product range, to me, is super important.
We were chatting outside actually earlier. I saw it on your LinkedIn. You were telling us about a customer that had phoned up, asked for an asset to be added, and quite often with brokers that can be a point of contention because some have very limited fields. But you guys, as you said, you were one of the broadest ones. Let's just do a quick demo of the app. So let's have a look as an example at that asset on the app.
No, sure.
Is it going to show up on there?
I hope so. Yeah.
So let's have a look. So let's demo the app. So we're obviously on FX, which is the.
So we're on FX. You've got an FX watch list there, and you can load up multiple different watch lists. A simple way to start would be Look, I personally think uranium is a massively interesting commodity.
Do you know what? We did some analysis on uranium as well. It just keeps on going up. It's massively in demand, isn't it?
I'll give you the 30-second version of uranium.
Yeah.
Carbon zero, COP28, death of fossil fuels. The big answer is probably more nuclear. And there's lots of data around the massive amount of nuclear being built in China and all over the world. So in simple terms, the key to nuclear is uranium for the fuel, right? So demand is going up for those reasons. And the two biggest producers of uranium in the world have both recently talked down production forecasts. So you've got demand going up, you've got supply going down. And it's really that simple.
It's been tough to trade in the past as well, really.
Yeah, well, this is the thing. It's like everyone talks about gold. Gold's at pretty much all-time highs. There's a million different ways you can trade gold on the platform. Uranium is much less well known. But the point is, the VIP client said, look, I have a particular interest in this ETF. It was a Sprott uranium ETF. We got it added to the platform in 24 hours. But this works a bit like Google, right? You've got a search box here. I've literally just typed in uranium. And we've got it ranked at the moment by popularity. So Saxo's very good at sort of feeding back to customers what's popular, what are other people doing. So the first thing you say is, well, the most popular thing, this is probably in the last 3 months, is CFD on uranium. So that's,
And we should point out as well that obviously that's a CFD product, that's a physical equity.
Exactly.
And then that's a future and that's
an
ETF.
I'm not an expert on how other people's apps work, but one of the things we do is we have these kind of icons for all the different assets. So as you rightly say, CFD, equity, down here you see green ETF, there we've got equity options. So this is actually just quite a good demonstration. We've gone for something a little bit obscure, I personally think super interesting, uranium. We've typed in uranium and we've been presented with a menu of 30, 40 different ways of playing uranium. So let's just keep it really simple and say, okay, I don't want to do anything too funky, I just want to buy an ETF. Now, this could go wrong here. This is a US listed ETF, but let's see what happens.
So we are, it's not even 11 o'clock in the UK. Well, let's just have a look at something that is open then. They're all going to be US actually, aren't they? There's a German one there.
Yeah, exactly right. So this is a UCITS ETF, so that should be available for UK European investors. Probably has a KID, key information document. We show that, by the way, if you wanted to check. There's a section here, documents and other stuff.
That's one of the great points of contentions, though, isn't it? For these massive Bitcoin ETFs, that there's no key information
document. In a second, if you like. So here's the trade ticket. You can obviously choose the number of shares, or you can go, which probably most people do, is look, actually, I want to buy $1,000 worth of this. Oh no, let's get punchy. 10,000.
Fat fingered that already.
10,000. We've gone big. All right. Now, one of the things I think is really good about our platform for serious traders is the number of different order types that we offer. Now, on this one, because it's an ETF, there's simply 3. There's a market order or limit order. If you were trading equities, there's about 8 different versions, including algo tickets and other stuff.
Yeah. And you're one of the only guys as well that offers DMA, aren't you?
Correct.
On those, so you can get inside the bid and offer.
Because the point is, this is institutional level trading, and also I'd argue pricing. But in this case, we're going to buy £10,000 worth of this spot uranium miners ETF. Now, if I was doing this for the first time, or I'm new to this industry, and I want to understand, well, great, but what's it actually going to cost me? Click on this little eye here. We're very, very transparent about all prices and costs. So in one click, we can basically see, what am I going to get charged as commission? Are there any other costs of this instrument? Right, and we could also even say, I'm going to own this for a month. What's it going to cost me as a round trip for a month? We'll give you all that information.
Yeah. Does that show? If you were going to trade that as a CFD, will that show overnight costs?
Yep, exactly. The overnight financing, CFD, obviously if we're lending you the money.
I think a lot of people ignore that as well.
They totally do. Yeah. Well, look, place order, okay, here's your sort of simple account ideas at the top. What are you doing? You're buying, number of shares, market order, okay, good for the day. So with commissions and trade fees where they are, I think it really concentrates the mind. That's just cost €7 to buy 10,000 pounds worth of an ETF, which is not really a lot of money, and then you get a trade ticket. Now what's interesting is what's immediately popped up is you could protect that position, put a stop loss order on.
Yeah.
One thing we see time and time again is quite poor risk management. So that's just an easy way of saying, okay, it's not for us to say what the right level is. That's for the trader to decide. But having a stop loss in place as an automatic thing is pretty cool, and you can just add that straight away. So we're now long of that uranium ETF. Fees, charges, transparency around all of that, super interesting. What I think a lot of retail traders tend to focus on is their headline commission, and that's totally understandable, and there's lots of people out there saying they do free trading. Two observations on that. Right, remember the old adage, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product. Right, so that's the first thing. You've got to think about execution quality. Let's say it was FX, that's going to be obvious. How wide's the spread? How many pips are we talking about? Let's say it's equities. Is the price you're being shown on the screen? If you had Bloomberg, would that be the same price?
Yeah.
Would there be some funny business going on? Where's your order going? Right? Is it being jobbed on to a hedge fund, or is it actually going broadly out to the market? Execution quality. But the trade commission is only one part of the overall cost of trading, right? And I think we know this, but I kind of get the feeling a lot of people don't. So let's take UK, Saxo's clients in the UK, right? They're all effectively either UK residents or UK people. But 19 of the top 20 positions by value are US.
Yeah.
And we can guess what the names
huge
are.
Flow into huge flow into
and
the US.
It wouldn't surprise anyone if I said what the names were. It's the Mag 7 and other stuff, right? But the point is, if you're constantly buying and selling US equities in a sterling account, you're going to incur some quite high FX transaction fees.
Do you know what? We have a comparison table
Yeah.
on the Good Money Guide that compares everybody's, because that's where all the flows go, and that's a massive cost. So, and what we find is when we interview the free brokers,
Yeah.
they're like, no, we don't charge you commission.
Yeah.
But we make all our money on the FX.
Well,
and some of them, to be fair, their rates are quite low, but there's some that are very high.
Look, it's really interesting. I mean, let's keep it super simple, right? For US equities, now we'd be charging people $1 minimum commission. But if you were doing it in size, you might be paying now somewhere between 0.5 cent a share or 1 cent a share, right? Tiny amounts of money. Our FX conversion fees are 25 basis points. We halved them in January. And it's very easy, if you haven't looked, to be maybe using a platform where those FX fees could be 50 bips or 75 bips or 1%, which is actually far higher than the actual trade commission.
175 on some retail platforms,
So,
I've seen.
So that's interesting. Anyway, we're very transparent about that. It's all there for people to see on the platform, and keeping costs and the sort of frictional costs of trading to a minimum is something every single trader should be focused on. What people tend to focus on is their planned return. They go, I'm going to make 10% in this name. I'm going to trade this FX pair. I'm going to make 5% in the next 2 hours. And I think they have a tendency to forget about what are the round trip costs. So that's a key point for us. Just back to the app.
Yeah.
One of the things I think that we're kind of proudest of is that as an execution-only broker, we're not regulated to give advice. Right? We're not a private wealth manager. We're not a sort of more techie St James's Place. But what we do is we give a huge amount of ideas and content and inspiration. We never say buy this, sell that. But let me just show you a couple of things.
One thing I do miss is Trading Floor. Do you remember when Trading Floor came up? We were on that actually.
Yeah.
We used to feed our trades through that. That was great. But no, I mean you've always had a lot of educational analysis.
We could keep it really simple, right? There's a pretty good news feed that comes, and you see here, powered by Dow Jones. There's all sorts of stuff in there, right? We show what stocks have been trending with our clients. We do kind of squawks, to your point, a bit like this is like from the trading floor. So we have a team of sales traders around the world. They publish these squawks.
He was up on stage earlier, wasn't he? That guy, is he here?
No, not here. No, he's in a different part of the world. But look, Novo Nordisk, right? Most valuable company in Europe, also Danish, handy for us. Had mega results yesterday. I think the shares went up somewhere between 5 and 8% on the day. We just summarise that in what's that? 3 sentences. Yeah. Just a quick bullet point, and then you go, "Oh, that's interesting. I haven't looked at Novo." Click there, takes you straight. We've got massive charting capability built in, and we've also got trade signals which are in the app.
So if you want to dig a bit deeper into the analysis, so you've seen the headline. Is there deeper commentary on that? Let's have a look at.
So look, what we've got is. mean, you could then just click through to this, which has come from Barron's. Now, if you were not a Saxo customer, you'd be paying, I'd have to check, but I would have thought a few £100 a year for a Barron's subscription.
Yeah, for sure.
So what we've done is we said, well, look, this is just a key story that summarises what's gone on. Quite a bit of content in there. Wall Street, Barron's, Wall Street Journal.
We'll have to syndicate some of our stuff through.
Yeah. Well, we're all for interesting content. So that's just one simple thing on Novo Nordisk, right? But what I think is really good as well is themes. Because this is all on the app. You could go, well, maybe I'm looking for inspiration, right? I need some new ideas. What's interesting? What's happening? So we show here popular themes, but just to make it real, the best performing theme that Saxo has this year is defence. Sort of pretty obvious why that is, because of Ukraine.
When the cannon when the cannons roar.
Yeah, Middle Eastern conflict, etc. So our view is defence stocks are going to run and run and run. Let's take 3 UK names. They're all up massively. Rolls-Royce, BAE Systems. One I'd be looking at is Chemring.
Do you know BAE Systems is a really popular search term on our site. We see a lot of people searching for things like, should I sell my BAE shares? Like, how much higher are they going to go? So there's a lot of interest in them.
So I've typed in BAE Systems, and these are the options, right? We've got CFD at the top. We've got obviously the straightforward equity. We've got options. So why don't we have a quick look now? I'm not an options expert, but we show here. Let's say we're bullish, right? We want to buy some calls. So we've got here the levels. We've got in the middle, that's the price.
So where are they? 12.57 at the moment.
Yeah, so they're 12.57. So let's say that we want to buy some out of the money calls.
Yeah. So let's say we reckon they're going to go up to 1,300.
Right. Okay. So 1,300. Right. So we're basically going to pay.
So that's 1,300 in April.
So these options expire April 24. Call options. Obviously, you don't need as many options because you've got leverage to the underlying. So we're going to buy 10 call options. It's all there. Again, if you wanted to, you could click on this I symbol and see all of the costs, how it would work, how the spread's going to mount up, are there any exchange fees, what would happen if you were long, what would happen if you were short. I really like that feature.
Can they, you can't trade naked shorts on there, can you, as a retail punter, unless you're long the underlying?
Yeah, so if you were long the underlying, what's super popular at the moment is what's called covered calls.
Yeah, so we've dealt every week.
Yeah, so this is the final stage, confirm order, all of the information, boom, confirm, done.
Excellent.
Trade confirmed straight through, order placed. So, an example where we've said defence is interesting. Defence theme basket is Saxo's top performing name, right? I fancy a bit of defence exposure. BAE Systems, pretty simple, UK equity, but I want the leverage to the upside. I've gone long with call options. So the beauty of this is, I think, is that not only have you got very, very competitive pricing, you've got multi-assets all in one place. You've got an app that works perfectly on your phone. Also obviously works on a desktop, and for people that are doing this for a living, obviously we're at the London Trader Show today, right? This is about trading and people doing this for a living. And we also offer something called Saxo Trader Pro, which is the kind of thing you'd have on a multi-screen setup. Much enhanced charting and other technical capabilities and all of that. Yeah, I mean, we've got technical analysis embedded in here. We have a technical analyst based in Copenhagen.
It's a great platform.
It's kind of all there.
And I remember you guys as well, quite a few brokers do it, but you guys were one of the first people to put in post-trade analytics, weren't you? I remember you did this about 10 years ago, where you can look at where your portfolio performs well, or rather where the trades you put on do well, and where you don't do so well. Right. So if you do well in equities versus terribly in Forex, that's stick. I mean, it's not going to come up on here because we put 2 trades on it, but
yeah, you're absolutely right, all of that. And we offer pre-canned about 25 different reports that you can download from the platform as a PDF or as an Excel. And literally,
so instead of just putting your head in the sand and saying no, it's too much.
Let's say something simple. What dividend income have I had over the last tax year? It's there. What have I paid in trading fees, or what the difference between capital gains, losses, everything else? So as part of the service, you've got all those reports, self-service. Just download them. Charting. I mean, I am not a massive chartist, but let's have a little look.
I like a mixture. I like a mixture of charting and fundamentals. I think it's good to visualize whether something's been priced in or not.
No, I don't disagree. For example. So look, there's Tesla. Obviously, it's not been a happy story for Tesla.
What's the range on that?
Here we're just looking at pretty much since the beginning of the year. But you can see this recent leg down that we've had in March.
EV stocks have been terrible. I think everyone has all of a sudden fallen out of love with it. It's a real shame because Lotus just came to market.
Yeah.
We wrote about Lotus, and it's like, oh, you want them to do well. You're willing them to do well.
Our thesis as Saxo, having said we don't give recommendations and everything else, there is a bit of a feeling that these high valuation tech stocks are starting to look quite toppy and a little bit exhausted. Well, it was a really good example this week, CrowdStrike. So cybersecurity, okay, it's not semis, it's not AI, but it's still a kind of zeitgeisty popular theme. And we can all see in our day-to-day lives the impact of hackers and cyber warfare. So, cybersecurity, right? CrowdStrike comes out with amazingly good earnings, goes up 24%, and spends the whole next day literally jipping down and selling off. Sorry, I'm talking there about a jip chart, intraday chart, but basically, there's a bit of a feeling that there's an exhaustion setting in. The Magnificent Seven, if we just looked over last week, it's not looking that magnificent. And I think it's only Tesla of the Mag 7 that's actually up in the last few days.
I think those big valuations as well, people have all of a sudden found this such a use case for AI companies and companies on the peripherals of AI, that all of that flow is going into something with an actual use case rather than just the hype over tech.
Exactly. I mean, what I would be doing, and again, this is so easy to do, right? So you could say, I've made loads of money in US equities, US tech stocks, or whatever it is, maybe in gold. Now, maybe I want to hedge my portfolio, diversify a little bit. Why don't we look at some good old-fashioned UK stuff? Budget this week, £5,000 UK ISA coming, massive amount of M&A. What have we had this week? Spirant, bid for at a 60% premium. Maybe it's as simple as a trade on the FTSE 100, right? And we could put that on as a CFD. Maybe it's a UK ETF. Do you want to buy a UK small cap?
Do you think the UK ISA is going to give the FTSE that needed boost? Because like you look at it compared to the S&P or the big markets, it's been a bit of a laggard. But do you think it's going to give it a boost?
I'll answer your question. This is just quite interesting for people to see. So I've just teed up a trade to go long of the FTSE 100 via CFD. And what it said here, because this is a demo account, I think we had £100,000 in the demo account, margin utilisation warning. So put this trade on, we'll have used up 84%.
That's quite a lumpy trade.
Yeah, it is. Yeah,
that's a very lumpy trade.
We might go, oh, didn't mean to do that.
Let's just let's just demo this, because if you click on that calculator, that shows you the value, doesn't it?
Yeah, that's the index calculator. That's a $2 million.
Yeah, that's quite
notional position.
That's quite a lumpy trade. That is not a hedge against your.
No, but it's interesting because again, margin, trading on margin. We all have these ESMA risk disclaimers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's not. This is a bit tallest dwarf syndrome, but I'm pretty sure our number is one of the lowest in the industry.
We rank you as well.
Yeah, so 62 or 64%.
Yeah, you're always in the low 60s. So we rank it. There's a page where you can see.
Right.
I think it goes back about 4 years.
That's
like you could. It's an overlay of all the brokers' risk warning percentages.
We try and stop people getting themselves in trouble. Right? So we said this trade would exceed your initial margin available. Now you could put more money in your account, you could add to the margin, but we do our best. And in fact, the regulator forces you.
It's still quite a lumpy trade.
Under consumer duty, to try and help people. So
and also just from a commercial and client point of view, there are some brokers out there that want their clients to succeed, and I think that's a big bonus in the business. Brokers that want those long-term relationships with customers, and provide the service for them.
We are all about trying to build long-term sticky business. We don't want clients to lose money. Why would you bother trading and investing if all you did was destroy your own wealth? Absolutely pointless.
There's a trade in the back of the taxi for 20 minutes.
Yeah, or go gambling. Right? So what we could say is, well, look, okay, I'm new to this industry. Right, I'm intrigued by day trading. I want to try and do this as a side hustle or as for a living. Take you to this education section here. We've got literally everything you could imagine. How-to guides, how does fundamental analysis work. We've got videos on risk management. We've got platform walkthroughs so you can get the best out of the app. We've got sort of top tips. We explain trade signals. Again, that's all there baked in for free. Under the education tab.
Good point to end on, actually. So we're a little bit over, but let's just finish with your top 3 tips. Obviously, this is not investment advice. Guidance at best. It's just chat and opinion. But if you were to, in general, give 3 top tips for
Yeah.
anyone getting started in the
Okay.
investing and trading world.
Yeah, that's a really good question. So let me just say, right, I spent 25 years doing institutional equities, talking to hedge funds, making recommendations, telling hedge fund managers buy and sell. And also did something called alpha capture for the likes of Marshall Wace, where as a broker, you basically ran a portfolio, right? And if your portfolio made money, you got paid. You know, on average, probably most people are going to maybe get 53% of their calls right. The world's greatest investors only get about 58% of their picks right.
Do you read Art of Execution?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Right.
Brilliant.
So the thing is, like, if you're going to get just over half of your calls right, the way you skew the odds to yourself is to be super disciplined on running the winners, cutting the losers. What you've got to make sure is that the 58% you get right, the average P&L you make on those is much bigger than the 42% you get wrong. And I've seen time and time
Post-trade
again.
management.
Yeah, people get that wrong because what they do is they anchor on their entry point. Oh, I don't want to book this as a loss. I'm going to average down or whatever else. So that's the first thing. Is that just understanding that the concept of your average win needs to be significantly bigger in the P&L sense than your average loss. Risk management, right? Stop losses. Thinking about the overall portfolio. What risks are you taking? Not just obvious ones, but we have something on here called the Portfolio Shield.
Let's have a look. Let's have a quick.
It's a really, I probably can't demo it on a demo account, but Portfolio Shield says, oh, maybe I'm going away for the weekend. And I'm not going to be looking at my app. It's like a stop loss for your whole portfolio.
Okay,
You can go,
yeah.
I don't want to lose more than 3% of my money. I
then
don't know
that's
what,
it, and then
and
you're
that's
out.
it, done.
Then you're out.
All your positions closed.
Okay,
I think
excellent.
that's quite a clever thing. So,
And final point.
final point would be power of diversification.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's only one free lunch in investing, and we say that's diversification. Don't have all your eggs in one basket. Now, you can define that however you wish. It might be, if you've made an absolute fortune in Nvidia, well, why don't you just take some of those winnings, right, and buy some bombed out UK equities on a PE of 7? It might be, if all of your positions are US, maybe it's time to look at India.
Is Nvidia going to double again? Like that,
I mean,
3 trillion to 6 trillion?
probably
That's
not. I mean,
big
it
move.
sort of feel a bit priced for perfection. And my third thing would be, don't obsess over technicals and charts and forget the fundamentals.
Yeah,
Fundamentals
you're
do
absolutely
matter, and retail investors, I think, are not that hot on things like valuation. They focus on momentum and charts, and that's fine. But just remember fundamentals, valuations, and other stuff.
Okay, Dan, that's all great stuff.
Good.
Thanks for showing us the app.
Yeah,
Well,
no worries.
Let's just have a look.
Thanks for that, Richard.
Where's the portfolio? Have we got any?
Yeah, here we go.
Let's have a look. See how we're doing. Where's overall P&L? All right,
Yeah.
270 quid up on the CFDs,
Yeah.
and then you are. 88 quid down on the options and $9 down on the ETF. So actually, do you know what? You're doing pretty well. That's not a bad.
That's all right for 15 minutes
That-
work.
that's not-
isn't it?
that's not a bad-
We're up about 150 quid.
That's not a bad 28 minutes. That's not a bad. How long
Yeah,
we
well,
go?
that's
28
annualized
minutes.
that.
That's not
That's
bad.
£500 an
How don't average that out over a year. Look,
Don't extrapolate.
we've been trading with Saxo. You'll make 200 quid every 20 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. Have you got a close everything out in one go button?
Well, not a button. That's what the Portfolio Shield thing does.
Do you want to close it?
No, well, we said cut the losers,
Oh,
run the
look,
winners.
you're down,
so-
you're down on the CFDs.
we
There you
weren't
go.
quick enough.
That's the.
I mean, this is the thing, like, you know,
that's the
fast-moving
market
markets.
for you. Right, there you go. You're up 19 quid now.
Yeah, all right.
There we go. All right. Well, look, we'll just leave it at that. Oh, look, there you go. You're at 147
Perfect.
on the FTSE. We'll call that a day.
Okay,
Dan,
all right.
Great,
Richard,
great to have you at
enjoy
the back
that.
of the cab, mate.
Thanks.
Anyway, yeah, some really good chat from Saxo there. Some great demos of the platform. If you want to have a go in the back of the cab trading away,
Yep.
just search Good Money Guide Taxi so you can do any better. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
Thanks.
Thanks.